Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to the Respect Our Decision podcast, guys. Thanks for sticking with us, man. We took a little week off last week to you know, get our stuff together, kind of take a breather. And now we're back stronger than ever, guys. As always, I'm your boy Hirsch. With me, CJ the Man McCann,
What's up, guys?
the hype man Wes,
What's good, Gator Nation?
and of course, guys, we have a brand new addition to the Respect Our Decision family, Little Miss Woman the McCann.
Yeah.
as as CJ and his wife welcomed the beautiful baby girl into the world a few weeks back. As we've been telling you, CJ is back and better than ever. Guys, CJ, how's everything going on the home front?
I'm
Everybody
doing
healthy?
great. I never thought I could function on this little sleep.
Oh, trust me, you'll learn. More to come. I trust you. It will. It only goes downhill and uphill from here. But great to hear, man. Glad everybody is home, healthy, happy. And we are back to business, guys. As always, go out, download us wherever you get your podcast from. We're available on all major platforms. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give us a big old like button below, man. Hit that like button. It helps us in the old YouTube algorithm more than you can possibly imagine. There you go, Mr. Shannon. And hit that notification bell so you get a notification each time we upload new content. And guys, starting this week, if you go to sign up for Florida Victorious, and we all need to be doing it, man, if you want to contribute to the success of Florida athletics, I hate to be that guy. I know some of y'all are steadfast no on donating to NIL, and that's fine. That is your choice, and you're more than happy to make that. But if you're on that, line about should you do it or not, now is absolutely the time. Nate Rivera was out there doing interviews again this week. They did an interview for the Orlando Sentinel talking about just how much they need more subscribers, 2,700 members versus 6,000, as at Ole Miss Collective, which is right now the gold standard. They're starting the billboard campaign this week. Florida Victorious will be on billboards throughout Florida. That was one of I believe, the surprises Nate was talking about in the interview that we had with him. But guys, go ahead. If you go to Florida Victorious and you go to sign up, use code DECISION, and you'll get 20% off your first month's sponsorship or your donation, whatever it may be across the board. All right, guys, let's jump right into it, man. There's not a whole lot going on in the recruiting world right now, as we all know. I mean, it's junior days are hot and heavy. Been a lot of that going on, but not a whole lot of news on the Florida front. Now, we do have a big commitment coming up next week on the 18th. Offensive lineman Peyton Joseph is committing out of Georgia. As of right now, Florida is the favorite in that recruitment. This is a big time, recruitment for Florida. Like we talked about him before, he's a top 125 lineman in the country, or player in the country. I shouldn't say lineman. People will think he's a two-star, something of that nature. No, this kid's out of Houston County, big time school in Florida. Excuse me. I got to get back in the groove, guys. In Georgia high school football. So obviously we need to go ahead and secure that kid's commitment now. I think we're all going to be kind of, in a show me stance as far as recruiting goes this cycle. Obviously, we're going to have to see some wins on the football field, or the recruiting commitments mean nothing. A lot of, you got to show me that you fool me once kind of situation going into this year. I know Wes is probably on that board as well. He got all hyped up about his top 5 class last cycle to be a little let down. But Peyton Joseph is absolutely one to watch. Another one to watch, Hilton Stubbs, safety out of Florida, very close to committing to Florida on his last trip. I have a feeling this one will happen sooner than later. So, good news out there on the Florida recruiting, sites. But, hey, it doesn't mean nothing if you don't get wins on the field. And of course, that a lot of that's going to come down to coaching, and so that's what we're going to talk about next, guys. Obviously, a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of stuff happened while we were taking our little break last week, but some significant announcements were made. We're going to start with that the 4 coaches that were retained by Billy Napier as announced, both offensive line coaches, Mike Peterson, and who am I forgetting, guys? Help me out here.
Jalute.
Jalute.
Jabbar Jalute.
Yes, Coach Jalute was retained as well. Obviously, I don't think any of us have any real problems with Jaluk or Mike Pete being retained. Obviously, though, when it comes to the offensive line coaches, everyone's got an opinion about that. And the announcement that as of right now, Billy Napier says he will be calling plays next year. So I'm going to be the first to eat crow on that because I was absolutely told look for Billy to hire an offensive coordinator. One member of this podcast, CJ, has said adamantly through this, it's Russ Callaway until it's not. So I hate to say that CJ looks like he might be right in this stage, and make no mistake about it, Russ Callaway, as of right now, looks like he's going to inherit a lot more responsibility next year. But man, Wes, I'm going to throw it to you first because I know how you feel about these boys on the offensive line. What is your feeling about this announcement about these coaches being retained?
I mean, when we first heard it, I think when the press conference came out, he was saying that those 2 guys who were coming back kind of put us in. Well, me, I was thinking, well, that means he's calling plays. If he's not getting rid of anybody, he's going to be the one that was calling the plays. The thing I can say, and I don't know how to even put this, that they have been underwhelming, but they have been a little average as far as the offensive line recruiting, especially if they get this guy that coming in now. It's just it's the development is where I'm at. We've had some different guys in and out, and I just want to see the development. I mean, last year was so horrible, and they had it changed over as far as the guys that we have now and the guys that we had last year. This is you can say the 3rd group of guys they have coming in this year, 3 for the staff as far as the offensive line. You have some more guys come in. Got to prove it on the field. I mean, to me, Napier is saying, I'm going down as the captain of the ship. I'm not turning the reins over to anybody else to let them go through this and cause me to lose my job. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to sing. I'm going to go down with my guys and my guys swinging. So to me, that's his mentality. I don't see it any other way. And I can't knock him from doing it. But he has, I'm okay with it because it is what it is. We got to deal with it. We got to live through it, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So if that's his mentality that he's going to go down with his guys and his guys only, he's going to be calling the plays, whether Callaway has some more involvement as far as prepping like Monday through, not Monday, Monday. I think they have off day on Sunday, excuse me. So if it's Monday through Friday where he's doing all the prep work, and then Napier's calling the game day, calling the plays, then it is what it is. So it's going to be the last year. He's going to buy himself another year.
CJ?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where Napier is just the fact it's like, I'm going to do this my way. If I, lose my ass on it, at least I don't have anybody to blame but myself. I kind of respect that to an extent. And two, another thing, we kind of talked about it off air, is it's really hard to convince an elite offensive mind to come be your offensive coordinator right now when there's no guarantee that he'll have a job after this season. When you look at it and you come in and the defense still isn't fixed, and we've seen before you can score 60 points but still lose because your defense isn't, any better. I think that it's hard to entice somebody to come do that, even with the prospect of maybe coaching a guy like DJ Lagway, because again, you're looking at the situation of, if this doesn't pan out, I'm going to be looking for another job. Coaches don't typically, like to just, coach for a year and move. It's part of coaching, but it's not something they would like to do. They would rather find a place and actually live for a few years and coach and do their job. So I understand it. Last year too, we looked at a pretty pieced together O-line with a bunch of guys that really weren't Rob Sale or Stapleton's guys that they really coached. You're talking about a bunch of guys that were Mullen holdouts and some transfers, a guy playing out of position. You look at the year before, your best offensive lineman was a guy that they had coached for 3 years. Now you're in a situation where you have Austin Barber, who was banged up for most of the season, Kingsley Ngakouin, who was also banged up for most of the season, Damian George playing out of position. So it was just I don't think the pieces we had last year were conducive to success for the offensive line. So I think that at least, if there's one silver lining to it, you can say, okay, the guys they have now, the guys that they've recruited, the guys that they've brought in, and the guys that are here, they've worked with for 2 or 3 years. So maybe you see some progress there. I mean, we saw some progress with certain guys. Jake Slaughter looked a lot better. Towards the end of the season, he really came on and developed. Again, we talk about Barber. Barber was a solid left tackle, just dealt with a lot of nagging injuries and things like that. So you just got to hope that maybe, the working with Najee Harris and Rod Kearney and some of those guys has maybe panned out to the point where those guys are ready to play now. And maybe you can make that testament to, this is my coaching. This is what my offensive linemen actually look like. Now that it is truly your offensive line. These are all your guys, aside from, Barber and Slaughter, who were here but weren't exactly, they were young when Stale and Stapleton got here. So you got some guys now. These are basically your players. This is your offensive line. There aren't any holdouts. There aren't any, guys that you're, not familiar with. We're not moving guys out of position. This is it. So if you want to get a good gauge of, can Saylor and Stapleton do the job, this offensive line is definitely going to tell you that one way or the other.
I kind of agree with you on that take, and I know that's a hot take to sit here and say, maybe Sale and Stapleton are getting a lot more heat than they deserve. Coaching wise, I kind of agree. Recruiting wise, that's a whole different conversation. Hey, we can have that one. Now, if you go out and you land Joseph next week and you start to show some really solid recruiting on the offensive line this cycle, okay, maybe the conversation begins to turn. But at the end of the day, the on-field product is going to be the ultimate determination of what kind of coaches these guys are. Like you said, the first year they were here, I don't believe anybody had any real. Was the offensive line dominant? No. Were they better than obviously they're better than the product we saw last season, but they were more of a strength. I mean, and that was with Kingsley not playing very well the year before. And now he's getting an invite to the combine, much to Wes's chagrin. But no, all jokes aside, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you had Austin Barber, who played hurt all season long at left tackle. Maybe he's much more suited to be a right tackle. You had Kingsley get hurt early, so you had him and Slaughter back and forth. Mazuka was a enigma. I don't think his heart was ever here. I think he was just trying to play to get a check and get gone.
I still wonder why we moved him to right guard as well. He was a left guard.
The answer, who knows? Maybe it had something to do with the arm he hurt. I really can't answer that question. But like CJ said before, these guys have put kids at Louisiana into the NFL. They didn't forget how to coach an offensive line. Whether we think Rob Sale deserved it or not, he did get hired by an NFL team to come be their offensive line coach. These are things that don't just happen. I know a lot of bad coaches get hired by the NFL. I mean, that's not we're not exactly throwing out some crazy nugget of information here, but the guy had a very good resume before he got to Florida on the whole. Then, we had a pretty good first season. And then last season, it all fell apart. And then some of that you have to wonder if it goes to our next topic, the strength and conditioning room. How much did that hurt the offensive line play? And I mean, I think anybody with two eyes can tell you, both lines of scrimmage, we talked about it continuously on here, that both lines of scrimmage got pushed around every week. And some of that has to be attributed to the strength and conditioning program, which we replaced with Coach Fitzgerald, who now is on his way to Boston College to work with his good friend, Mr. O'Brien, who took the Boston College job last week, and then it was announced that Coach Fitz was heading on up there to take that job. Now, I understand there's a certain amount of outrage on this from he just took the job. It's very unprofessional to then leave and go to another job. You might, that might have some merit. I completely understand that take. The other take is this is a terrible look for Billy. It's indicative of where the program is and all that. So, CJ, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that Coach Fitz leaving is a bad look for Billy Napier? Or is it simply a case of Bill O'Brien was one of his best friends and he left to take that job?
I can make anything, seem like a bad look for Billy Napier, but this isn't Billy Napier's fault. Billy Napier isn't writing checks for these guys. He offered them the job. Obviously, Greg Fitzgerald took the job. He wanted to be here. You got to understand, too, with strength and conditioning coaches, most of the time, they get one coach and they stick with them. That's just how they operate. Bill O'Brien, Craig Fitzgerald was his strength and conditioning coach at Penn State. He was his strength and conditioning coach at the Houston Texans. They know each other very well. Craig Fitzgerald is from the area. It just makes sense for him to go. There's not as much pressure on Craig Fitzgerald. As far as if you look at the job at Boston College could go 2-10 next year, and Bill O'Brien would still have a job the year after. It's just that's where they're at as a program, as opposed to where we're at, as we're in our third year of a coaching change. They're in their first year of a coaching change. So you get to go back home. You get a more secure place. You're at least going to be there for 2 years. I get it. I understand it. And I don't think there's an indictment on Billy. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's just a lot of really good stuff for Craig Fitzgerald happened at the right time for him. I think that's the big thing. Is it's just a whole blend of perfect ingredients. It really made it hard for him not to go to Boston College. I think it is what it is. Is it unprofessional? Sure. When the last time college coaches cared about professionalism?
Never.
And I mean,
Mark Richt.
It is what it is. It's a job. There's no loyalty. I heard it years ago. Your coach, whatever team you coach, for the most part, if a better offer ever comes along, he could say how much he loves your colors and your tradition and your mascot and your town. But if a better offer comes along, it's a job, it's a business. He's going to leave and take it. It is what it is. That's just how it works. So it is what it is. I don't like it. I would rather have him. I thought he was doing a pretty good job from what little bit I could see. It seemed like the players were responding well to him. They really believed in what he was doing in his programs and such. So, I don't think it's a positive thing for us, but I also don't believe that this is just some indictment on the Florida program. Oh, look how far Florida's fallen. We're losing strength and conditioning coaches to Boston College and whatever. It just, every situation is different. You can say, I'm making excuses. They're not excuses, they're reasons. We can go back and forth about this all day, but it just is what it is. The guy got a job. He felt it was a better opportunity for him, felt it was a better opportunity for his family. And he took it. I can't blame him. We're going to have to figure out what the plan is going forward. You definitely don't want to see Hawk get back in that position. Then I really will be upset. But, hey, it is what it is. Things happen. We're just going to have to move on and regroup and figure it out from here. One can't grieve forever.
I had a point and it slipped my mind there for a second because I wanted to take it to Wes, but I was going to, I know what it was. And real quick, Wes, before I throw it to you, and this might be something that you can speak on your points as well. You know, I've seen a lot of outrage out there about, well, we're Florida and that's Boston College, and you don't go from Florida to Boston College. Guys, and I hate to say this, and maybe I'll catch some flack for it, but right now, Valentine's Day 2024, the Florida Gator name is not holding that kind of water right now. You know, you're on the back of multiple losing seasons. It's just, does that suck to say out loud? Absolutely. Is it reality right now? Yes. Unfortunately, it is. Now, like CJ said, to his point, he can go up there with Coach O'Brien and he doesn't have to worry about his job next year like he will here if Florida doesn't win, like we were just talking about, you know, bringing an OC or somebody like that. You know, you'd have to worry about am I going to have a job next year? I mean, and that's the whole department, you know, the whole football, all the football coaching staff. Wes, what are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I'm not going to be long on it. You guys kind of basically covered everything. It's not an indictment of Florida. It's an indictment of Billy Napier. And I'm just taking the other side of it, just to take the other side of it, is his initial hire. We have all said over and over and over again, the strength and conditioning coach is probably the most important position of coach. If you're a defensive minded coach, then probably maybe your offense coordinator. But in hindsight, not in hindsight, but in conjunction, you guys understand what I'm saying. That is one of the top 3, if not the most important position, because they spend all the time with the players.
He's another head coach, basically.
Exactly. We saw the players fatigue down the stretch. We saw the players get whipped in the trenches. We really didn't want to see the prior guy go. And this is where it all goes back to. That was not Mullen's problem. Mullen's problem was recruiting. It wasn't that the guys weren't SEC ready. And he asked that guy to take a demotion and stay on staff under this guy who didn't know half of the shit he knew. So this is where it's an indictment on Billy Napier, not an indictment on the University of Florida. As you guys just mentioned about the offensive coordinator spot, it's hard to get an elite guy to come here and thinking that, okay, Billy's going to be out maybe at the end of the year if we don't win. So it's the same, is indicative of the strength and conditioning coach. Oh, I got a great 20-year plus relationship with Bill O'Brien. I'm going there with him, but with a guy that I'm been loyal to, work with, knows what his plan will be good, even though Florida is a better university. If Billy Napier was 10-1, 10-1, 10-2, 11-3, whatever, the last couple of years, he may not leave, even with that loyalty to Bill O'Brien. But because of the circumstance that Billy has put himself in, to where he has to bet on himself, now he needs to hurry up and get a guy in here immediately, because whatever the guy whatever Fitzgerald was doing was working. The players seemed to love it. The energy was back in the building. So we can't lag on this like we were lagging on some other stuff that we wanted to happen earlier. He needs to hurry up and get this in. This is an important time. I remember we used to go over when what it was, the the Valentine's Day Massacre, where they had this hell of a workout today. That's what I remember, all the stuff hearing about how the players were throwing up and how hard it was on today's date. And so this is important right now, what's going on in the program. This is an important day. This can't be put off. And I don't want the previous guy, like CJ said, is going to piss me off even more. The previous guy is back in charge. Unless that guy left him a blueprint and say, hey, go this. You need to go. This is what I had laid out already. It doesn't even have to be hot. Fitzgerald could give it to maybe somebody else. Say, hey, this is the plan I have for the next couple of weeks.
That's going to be my next point. Is who's taking this? Who I think is actually taking this over?
Yeah. But that's where I'm at, man.
After doing a little bit of asking around and some research and reading some things, I believe what you're going to see right now is Tyler Mills is probably going to take the job, and he is already in the room. He's he's listed as the director of player athletic development right now. And, you know, we've got all these crazy, funky names and titles on things. But this is a guy who's got a resume in strength and conditioning. He was assistant strength and conditioning coach at Duke. He was assistant strength and conditioning coach at Miami. He's had many stops of being a strength and conditioning coach. But I believe what you're saying is they're on a program. Fitzgerald has laid that blueprint of how, I'm sure that was laid out to his coaches when he came in. Look, here's our, blueprint for doing this. So this is what we're going to do. You don't bring in a guy, you're 5 weeks into strength and conditioning training. You don't bring in a guy with a whole new program. Exactly. Because you just undo everything you've been doing for 5 weeks. And also, you also have Jake Sankel that you just brought in, who is also not only the nutritionalist, but has a background in strength and conditioning. So I believe him and Fitzgerald had a plan together, and now you're seeing
exactly.
Obviously, Mills step maybe into Fitzgerald's spot, and these two guys still kind of running the same plan. Word has been that kids really the kids really like Coach Miles. So hey, maybe that's obviously. I mean, it's very early, and no official announcement has been made in any capacity, but I believe that's what you're going to see. The plan being is you stay in house, if nothing else, through the rest of this cycle, because you just don't want to, and then observe it, see how it goes, check the, barometer of how the kids are reacting to it, and then go from there. It's a terrible situation to fall into when it happens. There's no sugarcoating that whatsoever. It sucks that it happened when it did. But then you have to ask yourself, if we were Alabama, if we were Georgia, or if we're LSU right now, is this guy leaving, even though Bill O'Brien is his longtime friend? Probably not. But like we said, there comes a little bit of job security, and the guy is from that part of the country, like CJ alluded to. His wife's from, like, New York. Hey, when and these kinds of things don't happen. At the end of the day, win football games, get Florida back to the level of respect that we're noted for, and these aren't things you're worrying about right now. But here we are. Now, that's going to bring us to our main point of the show, because why was the Boston College head coaching position open? Because Boston College, head coach went to go be the defensive coordinator of CJ's Packers. And that brings us to what we really want to talk about, is the new era of college football, the NIL era of college football. And is it a sustainable situation? Scott Van Pelt on ESPN talked about this a few weeks back. And if you can find that segment, I urge you to go look it up. I'll try to find it and see if I can put it in the description of the video. It's a very short segment, but he made some really good points. And this was before Chip Kelly left UCLA to go take the Ohio State offensive coordinator position. And a lot of people would say, well, they were probably going to fire Chip anyway. Maybe they were. But still, in no day and age do I remember a coach at a university like UCLA going to take an offensive coordinator job at another school. But here's the thing. If you're the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, you're not having to worry about kids coming to your office at the end of the season saying, I need my NIL raised, or I'm hitting the road. The offensive coordinator usually, the offensive and defensive coordinator doesn't usually have to worry about all that kind of stuff. That's the head coaching job, or they go to the position coach. The offensive defensive coordinator have maybe the easiest job on the staff as far as recruiting goes and dealing with kids and their demands. And that's where we're at right now. You saw the Boston College head coach go to be a coordinator in the NFL. Why? Because they're tired of it. They're tired of kids coming in. And look, I'm not going to be that guy that says I don't think kids should be getting NIL money. I completely think they should, especially when you see the billion-dollar packages that these networks are signing with conferences and whatnot. I mean, these schools are getting millions and millions of dollars. I do believe these kids should get their piece of the pie, but it's completely unregulated and it is completely out of control right now. And you're going to see, until some kind of structure comes of it, more and more of these coaches say, you know what? I'll take whatever I can get to get on out of here, or at least take less responsibility. If you're Chip Kelly's made tons of money coaching. Now, if he was smart with it, he's probably still going to be getting paid. I didn't see what the total was, but I'm sure it was very high in the millions to be offensive coordinator at Ohio State. And he's got so much less of the worries. So, guys, I'm going to throw it open, and we're going to talk about it just for a minute about, what do we think about this new landscape of college football and these coaches leaving to find an easier path, I guess I'll say it, or a lesser a less worrisome path, where they're not having to deal with kids continuously trying to re-up their values, and there's no balance to the market. So, CJ, I'll start with you. What do you think is possibly the answer for this, to save this before it just completely snowballs down the hill?
If you go back to one of our episodes last year about this time when Kerry Colbert left and he took the job with the Denver Broncos, we talked about it. I think we all were in agreement this is going to happen more frequently, where you're going to have coaches hit the door for the NFL in the new college football landscape. And that was only the beginning. Now you're really starting to see it snowball. And I don't think that this is, the end of it by any means. I think this is just the beginning. Why not? There is no world where right now that I would desire to be the head coach of a college football program, especially not one that isn't as invested in NIL as Georgia is, or teams like that they're absolutely fully, full bore. We're going to pay money and we're going to get the best team. Otherwise, and to that point, why not just go to the NFL at that point? If I have an opportunity where that's how you play it, they have a legitimate free agency. You get the players you want, you pay them what you want within your cap. There's no reason for me to coach college football. It's a headache until there's some kind of regulation put in place to not only protect the players, but also protect the schools and protect these NIL deals, these collectives, these coaches. There needs to be something that takes place where we rein this thing in. We can't just have the wild, wild west of, we're just going to pay money and we're going to buy this kid, buy that kid, and then we're going to get that kid, then he's going to get mad and he's going to leave. So there goes our investment on him and he's done. And it just, there's something has to be changed. The NCAA had no interest in doing anything to be proactive in this. They went to the Supreme Court, fully believing the Supreme Court would turn this down. And they said, no, this is wide open. And they just kind of threw it at the schools and said, good luck. Y'all figure it out. You wanted this. Here you go. And that's what we're seeing now. It's just a wild, wild west. And, people talk about all the time of, hey, well, they're only going to pay so much. And what I've learned in this process is a lot of other things. There's always somebody who's going to pay more than you. There's always somebody who's willing to whip out the checkbook and pay more than you are. And then you just start bidding wars for kids. And then you get them on campus and they ultimately flop. They're not good. So now you've had a bidding war for a kid that disappointed. And then you've got a lot of angry boosters and a lot of angry NIL collectives that are paying money to get kids, and then those kids aren't very good, or they pay money, they get kids, those kids have a off year and they say, well, I want to leave, I'm going somewhere else, and then they go play for your rival after you've already paid them on this NIL deal, and it's a lot. So to me, it's not enticing to be a college football coach at the moment. I couldn't do it. I don't think that there's a world where that I wouldn't bolt for the NFL. I mean, honestly, I understand, if it wasn't for the love of their alma mater. Kirby Smart would probably be a guy that could get a look and get out of here and go to the NFL. I've expected Ryan Day to hit the door thus far. Jim Harbaugh's already gone. Jim Harbaugh said, "I'm out." He left his alma mater, the school he played for, to go hit the door and go back to the NFL. So I think that you're going to just see it more frequently. I don't think this is the end of it. I think from now on, and you've got a guy like Lincoln Riley. There's Lincoln Riley, if he can get that offense humming again, there's no reason to think that he can't get an NFL job. But no, I think again this is just the beginning of it. I don't think this is the end of it. I think it's only going to get worse until the NCAA says, okay, we're going to do something, and we're gonna fix this. We're going to put rules in place. We're going to put stopgaps in place, and kind of help rein this thing in. But right now, on the horizon, it doesn't look like that's going to happen in the near future. So this is what we're going to have to deal with. The sport's just kind of on its head at the moment, and we're waiting for somebody to do something.
You on mute, Hurst.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, everything you said was right on point with my thinking as well. Wes, what are your thoughts on this situation, and what do you see kind of happening here long term?
I think I kind of given my idea of just for our new fans who recall, my suggestion is a kid has to stay 2 years, regardless, unless his coach gets fired or his coach leaves. I think that'll restrict some of the movement of players wanting, okay, they go to the situation, take whatever money they were getting, and then they bounce and go somewhere else. I feel like you're obligated to stay at that school for 2 years, unless that if you transfer somewhere else, you can't play the first year, no exceptions, unless the previous things that they used to do, like your mother's sick or your father's sick, something like that. But you have to stay 2 years unless the coach leaves, a coach gets fired, something of that nature. But to CJ's point, and as you stated earlier, it's not going to stop happening. I mean, this is some crazy, crazy mess when you got two coaches. Well, the NFL one leaving Boston College, it's still weird, but maybe you can say, okay, that's Boston College. He goes to Green Bay. Green Bay is an upcoming. McFleur not going anyway. They have a young quarterback. The defense got a bunch of first round picks. You look at that situation and you like, okay, that's enticing. I don't have to deal with that's enticing. Look at Chip Kelly. I can see Chip. You kind of made some excuses for it. I'll justify it even more. He doesn't, like you said, he doesn't have to recruit. That school recruits itself. They're basically a running machine. Same thing with Kirby. CJ was saying, Kirby. I don't see Kirby is trying to break Saban's. Kirby has a thing. Something in front of him. I'm trying to break Nick Saban's record. Everybody's leaving.
Kirby's also
I was
God walking the earth in his town.
Exactly, and he has a already running machine. His machine is already built and running. He doesn't have to do anything that some of these other coaches
comes in there and says, "I want this," or "I'm leaving." He just says, "Okay, next man up."
Yeah, so he doesn't. He has a well-oiled machine that's up and running and going fine. So he doesn't have to leave. Ryan Day, I don't know if he should. I think he missed his window a couple years ago when he had the quarterbacks back to back going in. So he's now fighting to. But Lincoln Riley, I agree with you, is another one that might bolt soon. His offense, even people say it wasn't as good as last year because the offensive line sucked. Or they had to score 50 points just to win a game. It wasn't the offense that was the problem. He can still leave. I don't know what's holding him in college, but I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves soon. And that'll leave Kirby as king of the mountain for the next 60 years if nobody comes in and can challenge him. That's the way it's going, man. And we have to. I don't know what kind of restrictions to put on it. Because I'm not that smart. I'm pretty sure there's some smarter people in Congress or wherever that can come up with some things. But the one thing that I do love is as far as my idea is the 2-year rule. You have to stay 2 years unless your coach gets fired. your coach not quits, but quits and goes somewhere else, or gets a lateral job from if he leaves Boston College and come to Florida, something like that. That the kid can leave. This is we use Boston College today, but that I understand if a kid can leave, or the prior rules, like if his mom is something sick back home and he's transferring back to a school closer to his home because someone is sick. Those should be the only reasons. But the other point that I'll leave with this is the free agency thing, not free agency thing. Remember when the NFL draft, they would play, remember Sam Bradford got that high ass salary as a rookie and the NFL said, F that. There's nowhere we should be paying the guys that coming in that hadn't played a down yet what the guys that have proven themselves in the league to get. That's what we are doing with the NIL. If Webb rushes, let's say I'm not gonna say that. Let's say Webb runs 1,500 yards next year and scores 15 touchdowns. And the 5-star, I forget his name right now, the running back that's down in Louisiana that we're recruiting, he wants more than Webb. How do you do that? I've seen this guy give me 20 touchdowns, run for 1,500 yards, and you want me to give you more than what he's already getting? It doesn't work that way, and that's the problem that these schools and these players are having. Unless you are Georgia, who's already has that machine running, you have to prove yourself. If you're not, and to do that, you have to win. So I don't know how these coaches are going to do it. That's the problem these coaches are having. That's why they're saying, F it. If I can get into the league, I'm going into the league because of that problem right there.
I will say too, I mean, I'm in the camp of I don't know how much it fixes, but I mean, honestly, if these kids think they're good enough to hack it right out of high school and they want to go play in the NFL and an NFL team will take them, I'm all for it.
With NIL right now, they don't have a reason to do that.
They won't ever do it just for the
because they got NIL right now. So yeah, they got NIL, so they can get paid and develop now.
They won't. I don't think they'd ever allow that just because of the safety aspect. Because an 18-year-old kid out of high school, I don't care who you. Could Baxter maybe? Baxter might have been the closest.
Adrian Peterson probably was the only guy.
Well, other than Bo Jackson. You saw Cedric Baxter this year at Texas. Big body kid. Ran like a freight train. Could a kid like that? Possibly, but guess what, man?
I think that there's plenty of those kids. I think Jeremiah Smith could go to the NFL right now.
Oh, now, yeah. And wide receiver is maybe it's a little bit
there's
different.
Wide receivers, there's DBs. I think that there's kids. We've seen it for years in high school football with kids that were immediately like, okay, that guy could go play in the NFL. And it's not going to be a lot of them. It's not going to be all of them. You even see it, toned down kind of in college baseball. Now, in college basketball, even, these kids they're choosing college. I would just say that I would like to see the door open for them. If they are that good, they could just go to the NFL and we don't have to waste anybody's time. A guy like Jeremiah Smith could just head on right to the NFL, play in the league and be done with it.
This is the problem with that. They're not. Jeremiah Smith can play. Now, I will give you 1 year, and this is the reason why I say 1 year. Jeremiah Smith is not going to. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's not going to be a first-round pick out of high school. They're not going to pick him in the first round out of high school, and and now he's missing a whole bunch of money where he can go to college for 1 or 2 years and then go to the NFL and be a first-round pick. So they're not a first round. It's not like basketball or baseball where you're gonna get picked in the first round as a high school player in the NFL. That's never gonna happen. So because of that, you're gonna mess up so much of your money by getting picked in like the sixth.
Because of the slotted salary. And you're right.
You're gonna mess a lot of money up.
Now the one thing NFL guys get that college kids don't, and I mean, yes. Name, image, and likeness is technically supposed to be, I represent this item, and that NFL guys get endorsements that blow whatever, college NIL is out of the water. But that's a whole different ballgame. Unless you're a Heisman Trophy winner or something like that, and you're in the Pepsi ad,
Dr. Pepper
and all that kind of the Dr. Pepper ad. That's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yes, Fansville stuff, the Caleb Williams and Heisman House stuff, all that. But I think one thing it's going to take, and I keep hearing rumors that this is something that's happening, is that like somebody's going to have to lead the charge. Whether that and I think the SEC is one of those. But it's going to take a lot of people putting their egos to the side, and saying, look, I don't, maybe, I want to be the best, but I don't want it to be the wild, wild west out here where what the model we're under now. Now, can the SEC come together and all say, well, but we also got to remember this goes bigger than football at the end of the day. Basketball, baseball, all that are being affected. But at the end of the day, the football drives the money. So can you get all the ADs from the SEC into a room and come up with a proposal and say, you know what, we're laying the groundwork. This is what we're going to do for the SEC. I don't know if it's salary cap. I don't know what exactly it would entail. I just keep hearing that the commissioner of the SEC is talking to the ADs, and they're all kind of like, look, we're kind of sick of this. I mean, at the end of the day, I believe that's 100% why Nick Saban retired when he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's done his thing. He's made his legacy, but he's not washed as a coach. Let's be real here. I mean, the man still recruits at the most elite of levels. He can still beat anybody on any given Saturday.
He was just in the playoffs this year.
Exactly.
Beat Georgia, who had lost in 2 years.
I mean,
Georgia had lost in 2 years.
That man strives for perfection. So it's got to be eating him up. Like, I'd rather have gone out on top. I would have rather won the championship and rode off into the sunset. Yep. But at the same time, man, I'm tired of dealing with this crap. I'm tired of just playing that whole season, working my old ass off. And then I've got to go do these exit meetings with players. And they're like, well, coach, if I don't get X amount of dollars, I'm going to hit the portal and try my luck there after you've been recruiting them. And then that's every season. So where you used to recruit a kid once, now you're recruiting them 2, 3, 4 times on top of trying to recruit 25 kids for your incoming class. It is ridiculous. And I know these coaches get paid astronomical amounts of money, and that's fine and dandy, but that's why you're seeing them say, you know what, maybe it's worth taking a little bit less for a quality of life improvement. Because I'm not trying to stress 18-year-olds telling me how much they're worth when, like you said, Wes, they've never played at a higher level. Can Jeremiah Smith, DJ Lagway say, hey, I like this amount? Yeah. Can the third string running back that Loxley at Maryland said he came in and was asking for $100,000 ask for that? That's crazy. I don't know who that kid is, but he ain't worth that. If you can't be the top running back at Maryland, you ain't. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And all of these, it's happening. You're talking an 85-man roster doing that.
Yeah.
You also deal with these kids that have agents, and you've got and a lot of times too they're not even really agents. They're your uncle, agents. they're your cousin, they're your buddy, and they're like, "No, man, you could get way more." And then they go in there, and now you've got a lot of kids that are in purgatory with the portal that are stuck there that won't ever get out. That probably will never play college football again because they thought they could get more money somewhere else, and now they're just stuck. They had a chance. They could have played. They could have worked, stayed where they were, and they hit the door, and now they're stuck there because somebody gave them horrible advice.
Yeah, they got to go to a smaller school.
It's a horrible life teaching tool, too. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. That's not how life works. And most of these kids, we know the percentages of kids that actually make it to the NFL, and it's ridiculously small. But I understand on one hand why they're trying to make money while they can. Like, yeah, get what you can while you can. But at the other hand, you're learning that, well, whenever something doesn't go my way, I just quit and go somewhere else and get an opportunity there, maybe for more or whatever have you not. And if you're not making the NFL, A, you can't leave after 1 year in the NFL anyway. So you're shot out there. That's not how that works. And B, if you don't make it to the NFL, you got to go get a real job. You can't just, you can quit, but after a while, somebody's looking at your resume and going, well, this guy ain't for us. He quits every time.
This guy's hit the portal a whole bunch. I don't know. This guy's been in the portal.
Indeed is the super portal.
Yeah, the Indeed portal. I'm on ZipRecruiter trying to find guys.
His Indeed resume is loaded with him hitting the portal too many times. His portal value is dropped. So there absolutely has to be some kind of mass across the board changes, and it's got to start with the ADs and the coaches. They have to agree on it, and I think you're moving towards that a lot faster than I did even at this time last year, because it just seems like this thing has super accelerated into a whole nother level of craziness. And I don't think the NCAA, not the NCAA, but I know, if you're an AD at a school, you're not real happy to see your coach kick off to go do something else just because, hell, I don't want to put up with this. So at a certain point, ADs have got to be saying, look, we're having to renegotiate. We're having to get new contracts, new coaching searches all the time because we don't have a structure. So this is the time, man. Something's got to give. I hope that they use this offseason. I know Josh Pate and some others have been hinting around that there's something in the works, but until you actually hear breaking news, this is happening. It's all just hearsay. So, and I mean, as far as it affects the University of Florida, I think we've all said many a times, if Billy Napier had been here 4 or 5 years ago, he'd be killing it, especially from the recruiting aspect. But here we are. I mean, you're in a bidding war, and right now, Florida's a little undergunned in the resource department, sadly to say it, but it is what it is. And part of that is you got to win ball games on the field to inspire confidence in guys to donate money. But it's that chicken and the egg thing that we've talked about before. Do wins happen? Do you have to have wins first, or do you have to have boosters buy in first? Well, now you've blown their confidence because you're going into year 3 and you haven't had a winning record yet. So anyway, well, Piers West had some technical issues on his end. It looks like his phone gave out on him. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night here on this episode, man. Hopefully we got some more Florida news to talk about next week. Be on the lookout. Me and CJ are about to sit down and record a preview episode of Around the Bases. We're going to have a weekly episode, or at least try to make it weekly. We'll have to see how it plays out. Mm-hmm. But an episode called Around the Bases where we're going to talk about the baseball team and how they're looking. But this week's episode is going to be a preview episode. Look for it to release around Saturday. So look out for that. There will be no pod of the people this week. I think with us taking a week off, when I put the questionnaire out there, it caught some people off guard. We didn't have a lot of questions come in. So look out for that next week. This week, though, it'll just be the Around the Bases with me and CJ. CJ, you got anything to drop before we leave?
No, just want to send a heartfelt thank you to everybody for all the thoughts and prayers and the kind words. As for me and my family, it really meant a lot to me for you guys to say those things. I really appreciated it. It was a rough couple of weeks for sure, but we got through it. I'm glad to be back. Also, too, check out our friends with Alma Mater. Use our link. They've got all kinds of new stuff dropping. The baseball season is underway, so you're seeing all kinds of things getting added to the site there, baseball related. I believe they've got new baseball jerseys coming out pretty soon, so hop on those. Those go, of course, fund the NIL collective for each one of those athletes. So check that out. As Hirsch mentioned earlier, use our code. What is our code? For the Florida Victorious?
Our code for Florida Victorious is decision, guys. If you go to floridavictorious.com and you're looking at being a monthly donor, a one-time donor, whatever it may be, or I don't know how it works. I'm sorry with the one-time donation, but I know on the monthly, if you use code decision, you'll save 20% on your first month with Florida Victorious. Like I said, guys, I understand it's kind of hard to get inspired to donate right now, not knowing the future of the program. But just remember, if Billy Napier is here or not here, this money is going to the athletes, not the coaches. So
Right.
if we want to keep those athletes, regardless of what happens in the football season, this is this is one of the things you have to do. And it's not just football. And I know I keep saying that, but I mean, obviously, you have a very good baseball team, and those boys are getting their NIL money,
Right.
and so is the basketball team, which is 6 out of the last 7, trending upwards. So
Yeah, that's right. We're 10 games above 500 in February for the first time since 2017. So the basketball team is doing wonderful.
doing
Great
much
game
better
last
now. If
night
they
again.
could just quit giving us cardiac moments in the last 10
They
minutes
just
of the
want to test
game.
our faith. They just want to see
Yeah.
how good we are.
Yeah.
Also, too, the Florida Victorious also does kick back a lot of the stuff, give you guys exclusive opportunities, exclusive interviews, the message boards. They do tailgates and things like that they organize for the members of Florida Victorious. So it isn't just giving them your money and just hoping that it blossoms. It's not like sending money to a TV preacher or something like that and just hoping. There are things that they do for their Florida Victorious members, as far as I know there's shirts and there's stickers and there's buttons and all kinds of things that they send you, koozies, car tags, etc. For being a member. So check that stuff out too. I'm not sure how the tiers work anymore, since it's changed over, but there are things there for you guys as well that they do kick back to you, for being a Florida Victorious donor and a member. So check them out with that, and keep helping support the Gator athletes, because at the end of the day, without them, we're not watching anything on any time. There's no basketball, there's no football, there's no baseball, none of that. So support those kids, because at the end of the day, that's really what matters, is making sure that the kids are taken care of for all the sports, the softballs, the track, the swimming, the golf team, national champion golf team, might I add. So just make sure you guys are watching those guys too and taking care of them and really understanding what this is really about. This isn't going in, Billy Napier's pocket, or the people of the Florida Victorious are not taking your money and buying boats and cars and things like that. This is going to help athletes. So, I understand if you're a little wary of it, but you can be trustworthy. These are very trustworthy people, that me and Hirsch both have talked to multiple times. We know these people, that they're not scamming you. This is really to better the University of Florida athletics.
Yeah, a lot of them are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Like Nate Barbera. Nate's already got money. A lot of these guys already have money. They're doing this because they want to see the Florida Gators get to a higher level. Jen Grosso, I know she works her tail off. She's a lawyer in the real world,
Right.
and she's just doing this just because. And she loves these kids, man. She talks about, every time we talk about maybe getting a kid on the show or something like that, she just raves about, oh, well, he's such a good young man. He's a pleasure to talk to. She really gets to know these kids, all of them, and loves what she does. She does it out of the goodness of her heart. I know they're supposed to be having a get together soon. Nate told me that. I can't remember if it was on air or off air. For the baseball team, like a meet and greet with the baseball team, and I want to say either the softball team or the gymnastics team. It's kind of a combo meet and greet for Florida Victorious members. So that's something to be on the lookout for as well coming forward. If you're someone like CJ and you want to go meet all the baseball team, possibly get you a bunch of autographs of future MLB players.
That's right.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode, man. We appreciate you as always for hanging in there with us through our rants and raving and excuse making, some of you might call it, and that's fine. That's what we're here to do, to tell all sides of the story and look at both sides of the coin. At the end of the day, man, we all want the same thing, and that's for the Florida Gators to be back on top. And we're all hoping that we can figure out what the missing link is to get there. So until next week, guys, be safe out there, be kind to each other, and go Gators.
Go Gators.